Have you ever felt stuck in a negative cycle of anxiety, stress, or depression, and the most common thing you use to find relief is either suppressing your emotions or going straight for the fridge or pantry or a fast food place? And even then, if it offers some relief, it doesn't really last and shame just quickly follows up. Well, I'd like to offer you a different way to approach that cycle of stress that can lead to more positive and healthy outcomes than emotional suppression or other maladaptive emotional regulation techniques like emotional eating. It's a helpful skill called reframing, which is what I want to talk about in today's video. What is reframing? How do I do it? And how will it help me overcome my eating challenges? Sometimes in life, we need a different perspective than our own, right? Just like changing a frame on a painting can change the way it looks, reframing a situation can change our perception of it dramatically. Hey friends, I'm Christina. I'm a nutrition coach, and on this channel, I love to talk about lean eating skills and the psychology of behavior change, like some really cool emotional regulation tools that I've learned along the way. Reframing is this technique used in cognitive behavioral therapy to identify those negative thoughts that come automatically and replacing them with a more balanced view of the situation. These sabotaging thoughts are pretty common and can contribute to that feeling of stuckness. Practicing reframing can be a huge help in breaking those negative cycles in our lives. It can be easy to have an exaggerated sense of failure of our behavior because we might be ignoring certain information or possibilities. One classic example of this often comes up with certain forbidden foods, especially if you've had a long history of dieting. You might say, I can't have peanut butter in the house because I can't eat it in moderation. But in reality, you've had a jar of that peanut butter in your possession for quite a while, and you've had several times of just eating a single portion. So we know and we show ourselves that it's possible. We just have to learn how to put the brakes on that thought train when it tries to start up. One of my clients recently injured their back, which is preventing them from doing a lot of exercise. And that's been pretty frustrating for them because exercise is a form of stress relief and it keeps them motivated with their eating habits as well. One helpful way that might be to look at this is first say, yeah, that's really disappointing because you love to move, but I'm glad that as you rest, you'll be able to help heal your body and it will give you more time to focus on other things to practice that can help you take care of yourself. You might be wondering, how do I practice this reframing? First thing is just to notice these sabotaging thoughts. Point them out to yourself. If you've had a stressful day at work and you're already planning on how you're going to unwind with a big spread of food, are you telling yourself things like, I deserve this, today sucked, and it's the only thing that helps me de-stress? Then what does that lead to? A big old shame spiral because you've invested in a coaching program, or maybe you've hired a coach and you just might as well give up because work is always stressful and it's not going to change, and so it goes. The next step after noticing your thoughts is to evaluate the evidence. Try to zoom out like 10,000 feet and look at the actual facts of the situation. Is there any kind of reframe that you can apply? The fact is that you've been practicing these other de-stressing techniques besides going to food, and they seem to work pretty well, like going for a walk or taking a shower, doing something creative to inspire you. So first, you're going to notice your thoughts. Second, you're going to evaluate the evidence. Third is something that is really helpful, which is practicing compassion, giving yourself grace and patience. Maybe you're dealing with some major stress. How would you speak to a friend who is going through what you're going through? Relating to yourself in this way often leads to more acceptance, forgiveness, and love, which leaves you more open to seeing things differently. Some other examples of reframing, just in a more general sense, are redefining a problem as a challenge. This one simple switch can activate a different way of approaching the situation altogether. When we think of the word problem, doesn't it kind of have a negative connotation to it? Whereas challenge can be sort of inspiring. Our language really matters here. I have a client who was talking to me just the other day about a new role she is in at work, one in which she doesn't have a lot of experience. This causes her to feel stressed day in and day out because she really cares about doing a good job. When she brought up this pressure she was feeling at her new job, we discussed how they must really see a lot in her and trust her to do a good job to put her in this position without a lot of experience. And of course, there's going to be a learning curve. This changes the focus and allows her to think about things that are more in her control, like her learning. That makes the situation feel more manageable and takes the pressure off a bit. Reframing is awesome because if you feel stuck or confused, it's helpful to think of your situations more constructively. You feel more empowered to act and learn at the same time. It can even change how you feel about the situation. It can help you develop those critical thinking skills. This is something I actively want to grow in myself. Sometimes, like when a client first comes to me and starts to share a bit of their story, they often haven't had many people to share this with, so they kind of just spill their guts like blah, and then they think, well, there's just so much I need to work on, I doubt I can even do anything. And then we just sort of talk through how maybe just taking one small step to start off with. There's absolutely nothing wrong with scaling things to make them feel more manageable for you in your life right now. You can always build from there. It takes you from more of a passive to active approach to your challenges, and it gets you out of the all or nothing mindset. Sometimes shifting from a past to future thinking can be really helpful. This is an exercise I often have my clients go through at the beginning. Instead of past, like I've always used food to deal with my emotions because that's what I saw my parents do, we think of the future. If you overcame your emotional eating, what would your life look like? How would it be different than it is now? The opposite of that is shifting from future to past. You might say, I can't seem to even get started overcoming my binge eating. Well, has there been a time in the past when you weren't binging? If so, what did you do back then to be successful? How might you use that approach today? Okay, so these are just a few examples that I came across when doing some research, but there are tons more. Can you think of other examples of reframing? Let me know yours in the comments below. I hope that you have found this helpful for you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.